In 5.2, we're going to do operations on decimals. So we're going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them. But first, you're going to get a few that are pretty much like the ones in section 1. Say you have 1 over 6 and 0.167. I already did this once. I did this in the other one, and it's comparing the two. And so what you need to do is divide the 1 over 6, so 6 into 1.000, and put the decimal up here. 6 will go into 10 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Bring down the 0. 6 will go into 46 times. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract and get 4. Bring down the 0. And you'll go 6 times. So we have 0.166 is smaller than 0.167. So we're going to say that it is less than. Next, we're going to do more of naming the numbers. So let's say we have negative 52.193. Here, we have to say the word. When you put it in, you're going to have to put in negative 52. Now with the decimal, that's where we put and we see that we have 1, 2, 3 digits. So that's, we would, if this wasn't with any digits or with any decimal, it would be 193. So we're going to say and 193. And we go back up and we see that we have 3 digits past the decimal. So this is tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So we put thousandths. And yes, spelling does count on these. So here we have negative 52.193. And we would say that negative 52 and 193 thousandths. Make sure you spell everything right. Make sure you put the hyphens where you need to. And then again, I'll show you what the places are. So if we have 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the tenth. Then hundredth. And then thousandth. And then 10,000th. And then 100,000th. And then millionth. And then 10 millionth. Notice that I didn't say 100,000th. That'll mark you wrong if you do that. Next, we're going to do more rounding, but it's going to have something like 8.991, and it'll say round to 2 decimal places. So here, it's a little bit easier. It's not saying round to the nearest hundredth, but we're going to look at the 2 decimal places, the number right before that, and it's less than a 5. So we round down, and this will just be 8.99. Let's say that we have 4.988, round to 1 decimal place. Whenever it gives you a number of the decimal place, that's just how many digits past the decimal. So here, 9 is the one that's right past, and right after that is an 8, which means we have to round up, which means this becomes a 10, and then this will also go up. So we could put either 5.0, because that is 1 decimal place, or you should be able to just put 5, because that is correct. All right, but if not, go ahead and put the actual decimal places that it says to. Next, we're going to add decimals. So let's say we have 10.821 plus 4.22. To do these, what you need to do is put them vertically and line up the decimals. So we have 10.821 and 4.22. If you want, you can put a 0 to so that you have all the places held. So now we're just going to add like normal. This is 1, 4, a 10, leave the decimal, carry the 1, and 5 and 1. So 15.041. When we're adding and subtracting, the decimal stays exactly where it was. Now let's say we're subtracting. Say we have 5.263 minus 10.1. Now these are going to be a little bit different because you need to put the one that's the bigger absolute value on top. So that's going to be the negative 10.1. So we're going to have negative 10.1. And that means this is a plus, and it's going to be 5.263. Now here, if you have more digits past the decimal on the bottom number, you have to put the zeros in on the top number like this. So now we have negative 10.100 plus 5.263. Bring the decimal where it was. Now because the negative is a bigger number, we're going to have a negative number as our answer. And we're going to subtract like we would normally. So we're going to have to borrow here. So it's going to be 10 minus 3, which is 7. This becomes 9 minus 6, which is 3. This becomes 10 minus 2, which is 8. And this becomes 9 minus 5, which is 4. So the answer is negative 4.837. So the main point here is you're going to put the bigger absolute value on top and then the smaller absolute value on bottom. You're going to keep the sign. You're going to do a subtraction, but you're going to keep the sign of whatever the top number is. And if the top number doesn't have as many digits past the decimal as the bottom number, then you have to add zeros and then subtract just like you would a whole number where you're keeping the decimal aligned with where it was. Now multiplication is a little bit different. So let's say we have 4.2 times 8.27. So here, we don't need to line them up. I'm going to put, but we do need to do it vertically. So 8.27 times 4.2. See here how I didn't line them up at all? I just put it like it was a normal multiplication. So now, at this point, do this as if it was a normal multiplication, ignoring the decimal points. So 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And 2 times 8 is 16. Bring the 0 as a placeholder. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. And 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 is 33. Now add them like we did before. 4, 13, 6, 7, 4, 3. So we have 3, 4, 7, 3, 4. Now, what we do, it's a little bit differently, is we go back to the top, to our original numbers, and we count how many digits are past the decimal. So we have 1, 2, 3. We count all of them. And so then we go to our answer, and we start at the end, and we go back 1, 2, 3 points. So this answer is 34.734. And one way we can see if we're kind of on the right track is just look at the numbers before the decimal. 8 times 4 is 32, and we have 8.27 and 4.2. That's a little bit bigger than 8 and a little bit bigger than 4. So our answer should be a little bit bigger than 32, and it is 34.734. So that's how you do multiplication. For division, let's say we have 15.5 divided by 6.2. So we have to turn this into a long division. So we have 6.2 into 15.5. Now we don't want decimals in the number that we're dividing into, or that we're dividing into the other, so we're going to move it over 1. And if we move it over however many spaces we move it, we also need to move this over that number of spaces. And then our decimal goes above there. Now we do it like a normal division. 62 will go into 155 2 times. 2 times 62 is 124. When we subtract, we get 31. And now we need to add a 0 and bring it down. 62 will go into 31 5 times. 5 times 62 is 310. And so our answer here will be 2.5. Now, does that make sense? 6 will go into 15 about 2.5 times. So we have this right. I'll do one more. Let's say we have 0.14 divided by 0.7. So I'm going to rewrite it as 0.7 into 0.14. Now I need to move my decimal over so I don't have any numbers past the decimal. So I moved it over one spot. That means I need to move this one over one spot. Put the decimal up above. And now 7 will go into 14 2 times. 2 times 7, 14, 0. So the answer here is 0.2. And that is everything from 5.2.